and information.
This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics. Listen, douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics.
After that, the track and field will start. Keshawn Walcott right on track, throwing 89 meters 12. Best throw in about 8 years. Looking good. Former world champion and Olympic champion. Unfortunately injured for them, for Germany and so on. But our boy looking good. We had to get over 90. Last time gold medal was 90 meters 0.3. So Keshawn Walcott, and he has a brilliant coach. And coach is Professor Mastrapa. Es muy bueno, de Cuba, inteligente. So I think Keshawn looking good. All you say some prayers, all you would have prayed. As we talking a little sport, I see sport company, they do nothing for 6 years. They have a man in charge of hockey, a PNM man called, what he named Douglas Camacho. One PNM clown. He is the president of hockey and the president and the chairman of the sport company. In 6 years, he can't even put on a hockey turf. Gary Griffith come and put on football grounds and now AstroTurf for hockey, all kind of thing, all purpose. Douglas Camacho, the PNM, can't even put on a hockey turf for the hockey boys 4, 5, 6 years now. But look what the sport company doing. We in pandemic. 46,690 children have no devices. 2,000 children cannot be found to go online school. But the government of Trinidad and Tobago that cannot give people hamper, that telling we double dipping when we hungry, when we looking for polori and sada with tomato choker, them tell we greedy. But look what them going and spend money on in a pandemic with starving people. Page 20, Newsday, Section A, Monday, June 28, 2021. Expression of interest. Expressions of interest for the provision of consultancy services for the development of the scope and estimates for the installation of CCTV and security monitoring system for all sport managed facilities. So they have no football, they have no sport. We all locked down. We in state of emergency. And the sport company going and tender out for a consultant to recommend and to do tenders for CCTV to monitor nobody who not training and nobody playing sport right now for millions of dollars. They can't do nothing. They ain't fix no grounds. They ain't put on hockey turf. Children cannot play sport. But the PNM coming to put camera to watch ghosts because nothing going on in sport. That is the brilliance of the PNM in the pandemic. And just to show all you, I don't like the boast and thing, but I see a PNM man always coming on the Facebook comments and use the worst, use the biggest goat, you ain't nothing, use the worst minister of sport. No problem. Let me just show you something. Archie put up, and this is Champa. Grounds completed. Shamfa, and you could also put Grabby Wabby, but I forgive Grabby Wabby because Rowley was interfering with Grabby Wabby's wife and so he couldn't focus. You understand? Yes, Grabby Wabby want to drive forklift too, it's okay. But listen, this is Shamfa grounds completed in Trinidad. Archie, show when Anil was minister now, show grounds completed. Put up Anil there. Oh, hey, oh yeah, but Anil was good, boy. Yeah. Oh, they don't play with me now. I don't like to do that. But when all they PNM like the liar talk stupid. Oh, you see that? Watch that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And smoke it hard. Run it. There we go. So let me tell you another PNM policy. I receive information from 4 government schools that children, poor children, who were given devices by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM government of Trinidad and Tobago, have been instructed by their principals and their teachers to return the devices. One of those schools is Sacred Heart Girls and 3 other government schools. I want to ask the PNM and the Minister of Bundles, every week is a different bundle. We can nearly put a rapid rail to run through the head, the amount of track she have in she head. Let me tell you something. I'm asking you, Queen of Bundles, if my people, my children, have to return the government device. And if that is so, why do they have to return the government device? And does it make sense when we're going into July, August, up to September 6th? No school, they're already behind, to take away a device from a child who could then, over that 2.5-month period, be studying and learning, doing work at home with the device. Why are you taking back the device? Because the children greedy? Is it that they're greedy for knowledge? The PNM is really that heartless to take back devices. All you go get cattle boil. All you're so disgusting. They have nothing redeeming about the PNM. All you're asking little children to give back device. What all you gonna do with device? Who holding the device? And then we go see device, somebody breaking and 50 device stolen, and then children have nothing. What is the policy with the device? So they hand back the device, no schoolwork, no study, no online for the whole of the vacation. Come back in September, who is to get the device? Or they're going to do our next means test? What nonsense. I could just hear the people bawling, Kamala, Kamala. I could see my boy who doing so. Because he looked like he had plenty children. The way he had going wrong and wrong in a circle, he looked like he could make plenty children. I could see he dipping in the pocket and only feeling his leg and studying laptop, school book, clothes. This one want to swim, so I had to buy a goggles, a swimsuit. I could see he only doing so. Kamala, Kamala, I'm sorry, bring back Kamala. All you have no shame, PNM. All you're taking back devices from children. I don't know what to say again. This might be the first and only time Carolyn C. Prasad Bechan will make douglAR politics. You all make some noise. Carolyn C. Prasad Bechan is going to make douglAR politics. She says she's done with politics for 3 years. But then I only had to clap a little bit because I said 3 years only. You mean you ain't retire forever? What is that 3 years thing? So I went to read on the article. My task is to mold young female minds. Former political leader of the Congress of the People. The Congress of the People? The Congress of the People? Like a old Bartex. No support. Former political leader of the Congress of the People, Carolyn C. Prasad Bechan, says she has taken off her political robes. What political robes? You had political robes? You now take it off? Or when you lost your deposit, they take it off for you? She says she has taken off her political robes, and for the next 3 years, her main focus would be to mold the minds of young girls in the country. Well, Carolyn C. Prasad Bechan, while you molding young minds as the head of the Girl Guides, please ensure that you teach them punctuality. Because I went to 110 cabinet meetings with you and you reached late for 108 while the Prime Minister Kamala Prasad was already seated. You reached late when we sleep in Magdalena Hotel and the cabinet meeting was in Magdalena Hotel and it started at 10 a.m. You walk in at 10:13 a.m. So while you're molding their mind, make sure you don't mold it like yours. Also, Carly, while you're molding their minds and you have colleagues and ministerial colleagues, when a minister of sport calls you as an MP for San Fernando 89 times to ask you to give him the list of grounds that you would like done by the sport company, you could put back up the map, you know. If you will see, There probably weren't many pins stuck in San Fernando, where she was, San Fernando West. There weren't many pins there in San Fernando West because, Carolyn, you didn't return the then Minister Anil Roberts calls 89 times. I call you, hello, be mobile, please leave a message. Honorable Minister, would you please call the Minister of Sport? I would like to start some grounds in your area, and the sport company and the engineers and those are over there, they require your input and your recommendation. Everybody else put. So tell them, when you're teaching these young minds, when a colleague or someone calls, please return their call. And thirdly, teach them courtesy, decency, and to not be aloof. Because we know you went through about 4 or 5 drivers because you wouldn't even come in the car and say good morning to your own driver. People get fed up and you have to hire a new one. You see, don't play with Anil. When you want a bad dog, Anil and play game, Anil know the truth. So you understand? So while you molding these minds, make sure you don't mold them like yours. Because your mind kind of turn right. Anyway, try to take a hiatus now, not 3 years. Take a full 25, right? From one clung to another. Faris, Al-Rawi, a one shot, a tight pants, a recusal, a rental, a talk nonsense, a lose 31K straight, wait now. What about the appeal, boy? Petrotrin not appealing. The man, the dancer man, thing. Hey, Rowley, Stuarty boy, he love you like if he didn't have a wife, Stuarty. Well, Stuarty single now, you know, he leave Asha Jabi. Well, now he gone good path. But the small pin available, you know, since you love Stuarty, he looking like he go in bed like he go love your back, boy. Or he might make a love romance. He might be young and restless, bold and beautiful, all wrapped up in one. AG, poor contribution and time wasting by the UNC. The audacity of the biggest dons to ever hold the office of Attorney General in the history of the Commonwealth. A man who set up shop in law school and didn't want to leave. A man who come in, the only thing he is successful in is renting his own building and his family building and all his family doing well. The man lost 31K straight. All the fees the taxpayers had to pay because of his stupidity. And this man had the audacity to say, the Opposition United National Congress was heavily criticized by Al-Rawi. What newspaper is this? Express. Al-Rawi could criticize somebody. Al-Rawi, Mr. Man who put on no mask, tight pants and a tight same shirt that he wear in 3 functions before to go and hug up 13 man and dribble on them in a room while everybody else had to wear masks. A man who went in a wedding and super spread. A man who went into isolation, a man who make law in the day and break law in the night, a man who recused himself 37 times from the cabinet. He could criticize somebody, what? Heavily? He can't do nothing heavily except put on heavy makeup. Heavy makeup, boy. Who good? I swear it's a Miss Trinidad and Tobago pageant. When the man do so and he walk, if he do so, he finger get brown, you know. Only powder. The Opposition United National Congress was heavily criticized yesterday for failing to contribute constructively to the parliamentary debate on the proposed self-governance of Tobago, says Al-Rawi. Al-Rawi, when have you ever debated anything that makes sense? Give us another definition of prima facie. Could you give us that definition there? Why don't you write your memoirs and tell us how it felt to stay in law school so long? How it felt to see people like Anand and Ramlogan and them zing out, honors, brilliant, and you still there. How it felt to see people start 2 years after you and exit and you still there. We want to learn. You see, people like me, we wouldn't understand that. Yeah, it's very difficult to contemplate stupidity when you're not dotish. So we want to read. You know, that's a new experience. That will be like learning. AG, pepper spray law, effective in 1 month. The Attorney General says in 1 month. Right? 3 years now, 4 years now, since 2016, going on 5 years now, Kamala Prasad Visesa saying pepper spray, pepper spray. Anita Haynes, Khadija, the UNC calling for it. He's saying 1 month, we go have pepper spray. So all your ladies will be safe. Well, I say that's good though. And I want to make sure that teachers who prey on students of school age, that they should get spray in the eye, straight in the eyeball, right? So like if you have a male teacher, let me say in Tobago, like back in 1969, and he can't get no big woman and thing, and he gone and groom a little 16-year-old girl now and get she pregnant, spray that person straight in the eye. Bosses who prey on subordinate wives. So like a big boss, who have our next fella he appoint, fella is a little small minister, and he have a sweet wife, and the boss take the man wife. Should have a pepper spray and spray him in the 2 eyeball. Not so? We need pepper spray. When you have a boss who does only pass thing by subordinates, whether they have bundles, no bundles, afro, bald, everybody below the boss had to watch out. You better have your pepper spray ready. So I'll we take the douglAR advice. Here what's going on. Every Thursday, you walk with a pepper spray, and you see the man sitting to your left, just hit him and spray 1 time. Hit him and spray every Thursday, 10 a.m. as you're going to the cabinet meeting and you sit down, you just spray, boy. Spray to your left. And you will save the country a lot. Let me go from one clown to the next one. I find this PNM black man government, it only have non-blacks in it. Let's go to the Simon the Nosebreaker. Where Rowley find he to put he in Diego Martin? Amory Brown, they said you quite Brazil, you come back to play thing, to come and lick K-Pax, hoping to go back in Diego Martin Central to remove Simon the Nosebreaker. Rowley find him, you know, Fatima couldn't even find he. He getting Fatima on some kind of percentage, me you know what percentage. They say he battle up for the last, second to last and third to last was a fight for he right through. Well, after Form 5, he couldn't even get in Fatima Form 6. He had to go Polytechnic. PNM gone and find he under some dustbin to put he in Diego Martin Central, where I happen to be roaming quite a bit. But Simon the Nosebreaker, you're mashing up TTT. TTT don't have no audience already. You're going to mash up something that have no audience. But you cannot even be an MP. For a member of parliament to have a dangerous obstruction, putting people's lives at risk next to a health center where old people, elderly have to go to get vaccinated in a pandemic, where citizens have to walk and you're blocking a pavement and they have to walk out in a road where people just fly past and drive wild, where you have a hindrance and in the night time, unlit, people could be driving there who don't know that an obstruction has fallen in the road and could swerve, crash head on and kill people right in front of a member of parliament office. All you feel on the line. And it stay there 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and on the 4th day, it rose and moved off the pavement. You all feel I lie? You all feel I'm lying on the PNM because I just don't like them PNM? You feel I lying on Simon the Nosebreaker just because he's a PNM? No, he's an incompetent dunce. Watch and see. In this video a little early. We coming up right here. Right? Just to show you the PNM efficiency. This is the office of the member for Diego Martin Central, Simon the Nosebreaker. This is the Diego Martin Corporation. Look at this hazard in the middle of the road. A bus stop fall down. About 2 days now. They cannot even move that bus stop. A simple job that will give care and consideration to the constituents of Diego Martin Central. Them can't even do that. You expect them to solve the economy, create jobs, and fix COVID? Great is the PNM, full of dance. Now Monday, 3 full days. Let's see. Here's the Office of the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Central. Simon the Nosebreaker. Here's the corporation. And let's see. There it is. Bus stop. Still in the middle of the road. Blocking the pavement on Petty Valley Main Road. Simeon. PNM stronghold. PNM, great is the PNM. This is the efficiency. Simon the Nosebreaker, you are such an idiot, it's not funny. You don't care about nobody. You cannot even do a simple job like that. Well, douglAR politics, tomorrow, Tuesday, we will see if it's still there. Alright, well this is Tuesday, it's now 9:18 a.m. douglAR politics is later tonight at 7:30 p.m. This may be day 4. Let's see if they moved. Finally, yes, on day 4, they finally moved the bus stop that fell down in the road. Look at there. They finally moved it. There is the office of Simon the Nosebreaker. Only 4 days for them to move a hazard from on the road and the pavement. Wow. You know, some of y'all may not understand. Representation is very important. When I tell you that these PNM MPs give you number and you reach by them, call member down in Mahaval by the gas station opposite the KFC and the quick shop, you pull a number, there is no number 26. So if you reach, no matter if you come out your house late, you're old, you're walking stick, you come with wheelchair, once 25 people done, them done. Kamala Prasad says I don't have that. She have keep all your tail there till you see the last person. She used to say 460-500 people while she was Prime Minister. Anybody would tell you about the market in Superior when she reached down there, special branch pack up all over and she blocked it. Go on in there and sit down. Seeing person after person after person. Jack Warner, Tim Gopi Singh, Rudal Munilal, all of the former MPs. That's the way it was. When I was an MP, 120, 140 per Tuesday, Saturday. But on top of that now, you feel in front of my office, if I see grass on the pavement, somebody in the office who have a work day getting blowout, I don't want to see grass, I don't want to see garbage. In one of them videos, if you all saw the video, you all would have seen garbage piled up inside Simon the Nosebreaker office. Did you all notice that? All you go back later, I ain't showing it again. We ain't that important. But when the show done, go back and go and see bags of garbage inside the compound of the office of the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Central. That's the kind of heart, that's the kind of attention to detail that the PNM is. Rowley set the example. My father lived right by Rowley office. Rowley's the MP there since when? 1991. That man going on how long? 30 years as the MP. And you can't see he there park up to see nobody. Never had no line on a Tuesday, on a Saturday, nothing. Never no special branch, blue lights flashing, nothing. And you all try to say PLM and UNC is the same. When I told you all, listen to me, because Trinidad and Tobago, I do not understand why science. I think we have to do more mathematics and things in schools across the board and go back to basics. Because science is a very simple thing. Science leaves no subjectivity. So when we are saying we have a policy of exemptions and locked borders for our citizens, and they cannot come home, and the government is attacking citizens outside and cussing them, and if you only argue, they tell you that is not the way. They call a press conference and bring out your name and embarrass you and talk about if you feel you could cry and come back in your country. That is not how it works. Go and find Jelani and make an appeal and an application. Remember that? But this was lockdown, shutdown, broke down borders when we had no community spread. We were stuck on 8 deaths from March till May, June, nearly July. We were at 116 positive cases. Now I was telling you them ain't testing nothing, so if all you're taking that, well, all right. But them say that is their numbers and them trust, and them is number one in the world, the most honest, intelligent people fighting COVID, a bag of duns, and some of y'all believe that. But the borders were closed. So how could it be when we dead in every day, people dead in the last 2 months alone? Must be 600 people dead, over 600 people dead in the last 2 months. And Rowley Bosin, we opening borders July 17th. I say something in the mortar more than the pestle. Because scientifically, you can't lock me out when it has no mosquito. But when mosquito biting, it have Aedes aegypti all in your nose hole, all in your ears hole, you opening up. I say what? But I told you all, because somebody pulling the strings, and Rowley has been instructed so to do, because the science could never say that you open up borders now. It's a Brazilian variant, 90%, Delta Indian variant on the way. We don't know where it is. And you just open up. We're not even vaccinated above 20% first shot. We are close to 70% herd immunity double shot yet. But you're opening up. But you was close when we had nothing. Well, run. I think I brought up that point earlier, you know. Run it there for me, Archie.
Constructions are done by
Know that? Anil, run Anil. Anil open borders. You have it? When I tell you, right. Why Rowley just jump out so to open borders? Let me ask you something. And I'm asking the government of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm asking the Civil Aviation Authority. I'm asking the Airports Authority. Has the U.S. government or the U.S. agencies, any FAA or any agency, either written, spoken, called, Zoom, or made note of what they describe as monopolistic, anti-competitive practices of Caribbean Airlines, as Trinidad and Tobago's borders are closed, and only the national airline, Caribbean Airlines, could fly to Guyana and hit out to the States, bam, 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 and come back in Trinidad. And no other airline could fly in here. No other airline can compete for business here because the borders are closed. Does the US have a problem with that? Does the FAA have a problem with that? Was any agency in the government written to by the US authorities complaining about the anti-competitive nature of what is going on with the borders being closed? And does this have anything to do with the illogical, wild statement that came out Saturday that we opening borders in 4 to 6 weeks? These are questions that we need answered, please. You see, my people, that was June 8th, 21 days before this article on today's newspaper. Look at it there. Sinanan, international carriers will resume flights when borders open. International carriers will be operating in Trinidad and Tobago when borders reopen on July 17th. And the details are to be worked out between relevant authorities in coming days. Minister of Works and Transport Rohan Sinanan confirmed this in Parliament yesterday while replying to Couva South MP Rudy Indarsing's queries on whether border reopening would involve international carriers coming to this country similar to pre-COVID operations. June 8th, I tell all of that. June 29th, they come and admit, because the entire exemption policy was nonsense. It was oppressive. It broke down the people's constitutional rights. It was not based on science. It was nonsense. It was done to keep 30,000 people out for an election that was called early in a pandemic, and it's games they playing. The USA said you cannot continue this ridiculous border closure and only your airline flying to Guyana and all around, while our companies are not allowed to make money in your airspace. It is anti-competitive. So Rowley and them come now to open border with Indian variant, Delta variant, Brazilian variant, all kind of thing. Even England beating Germany, it might have an English variant coming in soon too. So now you see how Rowley and his government operate by VAPs. From one clown to a bully now. So they're bullying the government. Everything about this government is bully. Donna Cox want to bully poor people and tell them they're greedy. Now here my pilots. Roger the other day begging, oh God, look at the documentation again. Oh Lord, it was a ruse. Like, oh, they set me up. What about the refinery? We had the best proposal. Like, you're doing everything. You want to cry, but you lean into the left, Roger. Nobody here taking you on when you lean to the left. Maybe you could have a meeting with Amory, Keith Scotland, Randall Mitchell, Al Rawi, and Stuart T. And that man who was dancing and want to marry Stuart T, the cusbard now. Rowley friend now. Rowley, what about that boy? That you still a friend boy? You call him? You so call him about the money thing. You call him about the racist thing. You call him. You call him to say, what is that boy? I thought me and you is brethren. How you call him? So you always thought of me like that? You didn't call him? Oh. No media call you. They're not interested in that. But they're interested if Kamala give you a banana. That's what they're interested in. They're interested in if Kamala say blank. Alright. Well, pilots now begging Rowley. Pilots begging Carl, save our jobs. Well, pilots, if Roger, the head of the #1 most powerful union in the history of the Caribbean, a union that way back in 1922 with the African National Congress and the East Indian Organization and National Association got together to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago had democracy in a legislative council. If that union that got together, the union of Uriah Buzz Butler, Arian Riola Kent, Rienzi, Cipriani, all of these people, if them union leaders, all of those who got together back in the day, and then all you come and put Roger to water down the thing, to make the thing watery, to make it weak, to make it pliable, to play games, and if you beat the biggest, baddest, strongest dog, you feel you feel Rowley and Coleman think freight pilot. You see, we in Trinidad and Tobago like to bury our head in the sand. They attacking CPEP workers. Well, I'm not a CPEP worker, leave that, yes. They attack teacher. Well, me ain't no teacher. They attack small business. Well, I don't have no small business, I have a bigger business. They attack petrotrain oil workers. Well, I can't weld. Let me keep quiet, let me hold my corner yet. That's what we do. And one by one they come for us. So now Caribbean Airlines and my pilots, they coming for you. Port workers, they coming for you. Wassa, well, you gone through. Tech, they coming for you. TT Post, they coming for you. One by one. Anybody want to dance? Anybody want to? Yes. Where my boy? I don't even know if we have heat. So they begging. But that's the policy of Rowley, to bully. Now we bullying reporters. Rowley, you don't even treat your children so. I know you have children all outside. We never know where you have, because you don't take care outside. You just only take care inside. Inside have picture. Inside get exemption. Inside get education. Them get laptop. Them get hug up. The inside ones get grandchildren to stay in the palace. Outside, stay outside. So me, you know, but like this reporter must be your child. The way you talk to him, so run it, Archie.
Constructions are done by Chinese. A lot of them.
You stop that one time.
A lot of them.
You stop that one time.
$700 million worth of contract lands on the premises building ground. Not a soul in Port of Spain, in Belmont, in Cascade, in Laventille, in Diplomatic got 1 day's work there. 100% Chinese work. Design, construction, materials, everything. And I am supposed to support that. And if I don't support it, I get myself slandered in and out of Parliament by my own party.
Cannot have his way, Mr. Speaker. His method is to bully. That's what it is. His method is to bully you. That is what I fought against. That is why his employment was terminated. Mr. Speaker, we do not tolerate bullying in the secondary school system. We're not tolerating bullying in the cabinet. We're not tolerating it.
Rowley bully, Donna bully, Colmenbot bully, Small Pin bully. Well, he couldn't do nothing else with that small pin, so he had to bully, right? A Talbot bully, Al-Rawi bully, up in the Senate bully, down in the Parliament bully. That's what they do. So when are you all going to stop being bullied? They try to bully USA. USA giving out 500 million vaccine. How much did the bully get? Because nobody ain't afraid, Rowley, outside of here. He tried to bully Guyana. Get 3 coffee and slap in the big bald head. He get some carpet. Can bully Guyana. Try to bully CARICOM. Bully Jamaica. Wholeness and them ignore he. The only people he bullying is us because we coward. We afraid to lose what we have. Billionaires, frightened. Anil, this. But don't call me name, eh? I said, don't tell me nothing if don't call your name. I don't want no coward wrong way. But you, the people who listening, somebody had to stand up and fight. Look what happened in the parliament today, just before I record this. Archie, show the people the bullying of the PNM.
I think the ayes have it.
Speaker, before the Prime Minister, with your leave, the motion has prevailed. But at no point in time there was an agreement as it relates to this particular process. When the motion was moved, Madam Speaker, there was an agreement on both sides.
Could you have a seat? Could you have member for Cuba South? During this debate, this is the second.
There was no agreement as it relates to wind up, Madam Speaker.
Member for Cuba South, I would ask you to get up and apologize. If you don't want to apologize, you can exercise another option so that I wouldn't have to do what I have to do.
Apologize for what, Madam Speaker? There was no agreement as it relates to this. There was no agreement as it relates to extensions, and the leader of government business is very aware of this.
Member for Cuba South, I have asked you to apologize for your outbursts. This is the second time during this debate that I'm on my legs. You have me in view, and you continue. So either you apologize or you exercise your option so that I won't have to do it.
Madam Speaker, can I make an intervention?
I don't recognize you. I do not recognize you. And I don't want anybody assisting me.
Speaker, I apologize, but I am...
That's it. That's it. I'm prepared to take your apology. If you want to go on, as again I said, you have an option.
Now understand this. Archie, if I send you a WhatsApp, boy, you can download it, quick, a short video, 50 let me, while I'm talking, while you're all soaking that, let me see, boy. Archie, I feel I'm going to find a video that I now get, because I want to show you all what Rudy Indarsingh was talking about there. Rudy Indarsingh was talking about an agreement on the speaking time that had been made between the chief whip and the leader of government business, which is Camille Robinson. Buy wig with all your money, run with cash and let it blow up in the sky, and go by a bank, say here, sign a declaration, and sign a declaration, know about who, where, when, police coming, but don't know when police coming by she, know about people double dipping, who going to take grant and so on for a little 1,500, but she agreed, stated the rules of engagement of the debate. The PNM come to change the rules of engagement. She had stated there will be no extension. Rowley come with the Pfizer, without the Pfizer, with the big ballhead, dotish Oreo self, and decide, because the people of Tobago and rejected him because he from Mason Hall by way of Lekoto, and he put spirit lash on Manning, but the whole of Tobago putting spirit lash on him. Listen to what Camille wig buying, cash waving, Robinson Regis. She's sweet too bad, ain't? Look how cute. Run it.
Joint Select Committee appointed to consider and report on the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill 2020 only. The speaking time be as follows. The mover and first responder for 2 hours maximum. A maximum of 1 speaker on each side for 90 minutes. A maximum of 2 speakers on each side for 60 minutes. All other speakers 20 minutes, and the mover in reply 60 minutes, all with no extensions. Thank you very much, Madam.
All with no extensions. All with no extensions. Madam, no bundles, Madam, no blue hair. What is your problem? That's what Rudy Inder Singh was stating. That they all were changing the rules of the debate just so. And you would not allow a member to remind you, because maybe you forgot you're getting on in age. I know that you also forgot how Newman George and Rowley still remain friends after you and Rowley were so close. It's amazing. That Balizé juice has a kind of meshing together. Nobody need no forklift there. But that's what Inder Singh was saying. That's what the UNC was saying. That you cannot come in a parliament, make rules of debate. You are the adjudicator of the rules that have been made and agreed to, that have been put on the Hansard. You with your blue hair self. You who are in charge of running the parliament to the standing orders. The government don't have their way. They don't appoint you. They don't doing what they want. But even on top of that, you allow them to break the rules. And then all they want to know why young people out of order and it's a crime and people not following rules and man drinking and driving and the country in a mess and people not respecting anybody, and then you all want to say the UNC and the PNM is the same. Nonsense! That is bullying, lady. And who you feel is, but apologize, and let them apologize, and don't say nothing. Where are you come out? You really feel people care about you so much? Who vote for you? Why you wasn't talking so when Newman catch you? Why you wasn't getting on so? How you and Rowley so close? You feel the douglAR don't know? Don't make the douglAR talk, you know. The douglAR live in that constituency, they go Martin West all my life. And don't make me ask Jackie Lazarus to call her. She has witness, you know. Hey, Jackie Lazarus, you're going to take more loans from out from MTS, from Small Pin Brother, NCB Global. What is Merchant Bank now? They're on the that's what all you're doing. Don't make me start a really talk here. But it's madness, and that is the bullying. And that's why everybody, all of we, should find a forklift and drive it down by Balizé House, down on Sundays and things when they have general council. We should all get forklift. And yes, Anil could drive forklift, I could drive an 18-wheeler, I could drive backhoe, tractor, helicopter, boat, anything I driving down the road, it have forklift. Let me go down Balizé House. Donna Cox and the Express. Archie, I had up something there. I didn't have it on the list, but you had it up. Where the Express had put some poll, and it come out 54-46 or something. 54% of the people say they agree with Donna Cox that people in the line in South Park was greedy. I don't know if you had that. I saw you had it up earlier, but it's not so important. But I asked you see that there? Right? Do you agree with Minister Donna Cox that there were some greedy people on Friday's hamper? This was Friday night, this poll. The Express said do no reporting, no investigation. They check nothing. They do that. And some of you bourgeois people and the PNM trolls who that's how they phone to do that, go on to just say that hungry people greedy. Well, right. But then the real poll started coming. The real poll came out. So in the Express the next day, take down that. Tuesday, 29 June, a few days later, the big question, do you think Social Development Minister Donna Cox owes an apology to citizens who lined up for hampers on Friday? You see, you had time to investigate, you had time to do stories, you had time to find out the pain and suffering that people would line up in that hot sun, not even knowing if they were going to get a hamper because they didn't know how many were on offer. They don't know when the line would have ended. To fight all that embarrassment, people filming them in a line for hamper, $300, $400 worth. But the Express finally started to do some reporting and realized that Donna Cox talked nonsense. It was disgusting. It was shameful. So they asked the big question, do you think Social Development Minister Donna Cox owes an apology to citizens who lined up for hampers on Friday? 18 people were asked. 17 of the people said yes, she owed an apology and she should resign basically. But there was one, you can take down that old poll. There was one person, and this person going to be made a superstar. This PNM person, right? 1 out of 18. Alana Stanislaus. Stanislaus Claus, me and him know. INCDC. Stanislaus. Here, Alana Stanislaus. And then I have to wonder, my citizens. Do I love my citizens? Trinidad and Tobago. Here, Alana Stanislaus. No, while I do believe as a seasoned politician, she could have been more selective in her choice of words, no lies were told. Her statement was definitely taken out of context, as there are several instances of people who are not needy still accessing state grants, hampers, and simply because they're greedy. You investigate all of that, lady. You know those people in the line. You know where they're working, how they're working, when they were laid off, how much they owe, who they owe, if they get thrown out of their house, when is the last time they eat, what they eat, where they spend money, what they have to spend money on, if their children in school. You know all of that, you PNM sycophant. What is wrong with you all? What is wrong with Trinidad and Tobago? You could support your PNM. You really have to support that level of abject stupidity and heartlessness from Donna Cox. Even the Newsday, Judy Raymond, who shares an affinity, love, and affection like Bridget Annie said George for Rowley. And Jackie Lazarus, anytime all you want to call him name, you know. And Jackie. Even the Newsday had to part ways with Donna Cox. And Donna Cox, that name really suit how you become a minister there in the Senate, you know. Huh? What Rowley passed by you? That anything to rhyme with your name? Poor Defense Minister, Social Development Minister Donna Cox chose to defend her unfortunate comments about the crowd that turned up at South Park Plaza in San Fernando on Friday to collect hampers. In a tone-deaf turn of phrase, she said of a crowd estimated to be 100 strong, some people are in need and some in greed. Ms. Cox chose to stick to her overheated guns and offered no apology. The minister offered no facts to back up her claim, but Stanislaus, you backing up what I have backup. You brilliant. The minister offered no facts to back up her claim, instead alluding to data in her possession, information about fraud she should properly take to the police. But what she had here was evidence of desperately needy people who were not being served adequately by her ministry. The situation is borne out by the experiences of NGOs involved in distributing food. But Donna, before August 23rd, 2020, You didn't have all them bundles and things. We wasn't looking up to mark. You're up to specs now. That greedy. You greedy for bundles and people greedy for food. All you really have no shame, you know. June is now COVID-19's deadliest month. We have been on lockdown, shutdown, and broke down for the last 56 days. We have been in a state of emergency for over 44 days. The virus has an incubation period of 14 days. Yet, while we are on shutdown, lockdown, and broke down, more people dead than the month before that had less shutdown, lockdown, and broke down. And look at it here. And while you're looking at that, and you could put it up big, well, like, anyway, that good day, Archie, you really put it nicely. You see, from the 1st of June, first of all, the total of deaths in June moved from 507 to 822. That is 315 people dead in June, okay? Now, look at June 9th. Up at June 9th, you are at 454 cases, okay? And on the 10th, you were going down. June 8th, you were 280, then 10th, 273, dropping down to 301, 259, going down to 227 by the 18th, okay? Down to 106 on the 20th. But then you see a slight climb coming about the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 215. This is positive cases, 215 for the day, 225, 222, 346 on the 25th of June. Minus 14 days from that period. And you get around June 9th. What happened on June 9th and 10th and 11th? The super spreader event that took place courtesy Keith Christopher, I Take Responsibility Rowley, where he took all of our citizens across the country in 36 areas, 36 health centers to tell them come for vaccine that did not exist. And I would like to ask, was that a good decision? Was it criminally negligent? We have been on lockdown, shutdown, and broke down. The economy has lost at least $7 billion in that period. And subsequently and consequently, jobs, activities, businesses, payments, people going to be foreclosed upon, pressure across the board, hungry people, people that cannot make their payments, people hiding the maxi from the repossessors, people don't even want to hear courts or Standard or American stores. People are suffering, and all of that came to naught because of stupidity. No vaccine. We still low down. They say 200,000 vaccine coming. When it coming? When the next 1 million coming? When the next 1.5 million coming? When you're going to give it? Everybody else in the world moving on up, and we on lockdown, shutdown, and broke down because of pure stupidity. And if your lockdown was working, how come June is more deadly than May? How come yesterday and day before 17 people dead? But we getting numbed it, people dead in, and like we just said, England scored 2 goals against Germany, 17 people dead, same thing. And you know why we are in this position? Because people who have a job to do to keep us safe, people who should be apolitical, who should be above the political fray, who should handle the pandemic, build trust, and give us information scientifically, and don't care what Anil, douglAR, big mouth, bald-head, ugly face had to say, and don't care what Rowley, scumbucket, dishonest, pathological, disgusting, duncy, liar have to say. You just come and talk science and tell us, the people, how to be safe, what to do, put things, implement. If we had that, we could be battling. But instead, Archie, we have this. Run him.
that we are holding in our hands now about 38,000 doses of vaccines that we were holding in the event that no more was coming to us in the very near future, and that would have been used to be the second dose on those persons who are vaccinated. We've taken a decision today that we will use those vaccines as first dose application for persons who are to be vaccinated. Having taken that decision, what is the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is that the second tranche does not get here, which means that all the 80,000 who we have vaccinated would only have got one dose. The worst case is that one dose is a lot better than no dose.
My first question is for Dr. Hines. I don't know if you may be able to have the information now, but can you give us an idea how many people who have passed away have had a vaccine, either first dose and or second dose?
In those where it has happened, there are maybe about 4 or 5 that we have on record, and they're usually persons who would have contracted illness pretty soon after having had their vaccine, but we're still attempting to get the documentation on the vaccine itself. But so far what we've seen of the ones that have been reported by mouth verbally, that is the ones that would have had a fatal outcome and claimed to or said that they have a record of a vaccine, those persons have all only had their first dose of vaccine, and it would have been relatively close, less than 2 weeks after that first dose, that they would have then become ill. And that is sort of in keeping with the expectation that your first dose of vaccine still needs a couple weeks before your immunity is boosted sufficiently by it. And even with that first dose of vaccine on board, the immunity is not optimized yet, which is why your second dose of vaccine is of utmost importance. If you had that first dose, you need to have the second dose in order to optimize, to get the most out of your vaccination, both in terms of the strength of your immune response and the duration, meaning how long that immune response will last.
The worst case is that one dose is a lot better than no dose.
Now, many things to deal with there. First and foremost, Dr. Hines, you're a doctor, you're a scientist, you're an epidemiologist. You do science, you're a bright boy, you're MPhil. You're talking about people who died, and a direct question about vaccination, first dose, time, and so on. And you are answering a question in such a wishy-washy manner. 4 or 5 dead. We're not so sure, we're checking it out. That's how a scientist answers a question, number one. Number two, when Dr. Keith Rowley was talking his abject nonsense previously, why didn't you stand up as the independent doctor? Because he's a doctor of stones, and alert the people, give them the full information. Because some of those people who died may have thought from listening to Dr. Rowley that I took my one dose and I could relax my thing a little bit and I could not focus on protocol. That's human nature. Human beings need to be told the truth to keep them in line and following protocol. Your information after about the utmost and the most important, and get that should have been the information. And maybe those 4 or 5 may not have died because they may have understood that they still needed to be very, very careful, because getting a jab gives everybody, the layman normal would say, relax a little bit. Furthermore, you just forced teachers on Saturday, the last douglAR politics on Saturday. I told you all that they rush teachers who have to invigilate an exam that poor people, children are not prepared for, that will further create and enhance the academic divide for decades to come, and the ability to earn income. on Thursday, this SEA exam, that the lady of bundles who take away scholarships from our children, who has done nothing, who build no school, all she do is bill bundles. That you all forced teachers and said, come and take vaccine on Saturday to go and expose them on Thursday. But Dr. Hines, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're about 16 days short of antibodies being created in the body from the first shot of vaccine. So why are you pretending and putting teachers at risk without telling them the truth? That 5 days after the jab has no effect whatsoever, you are like you are unvaccinated. Why are you all mammographing people? Putting people's life at risk, and you all think it's somehow funny. You know how many teachers probably took that jab and thinking, all right, I got my jab. All right, let me go. I go in with the children. I go into invigilate. In the public. I have my jab. So, and they don't understand that that jab is 16 days short of providing them with any sort of protection. That they are naked to the COVID-19 Brazilian variant and maybe Delta Indian variant that may be here, because we don't trust all you. Dr. Hines, are you serious? Dr. Hines says, get your 2 COVID vaccine shot for full protection. There have been a few instances of people vaccinated with 1 dose dying from COVID. Can't even read it, you know. But this is the point. Your messaging. You give Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hines messaging. Because here you say, get your 2nd dose. Rowley say, well, don't matter what that one's 1 dose better than that. No, let's go ahead, die what we have, because of the incompetence. You're always trying to make people feel that your incompetence is not abject stupidity. It's acceptable. And when you have scientists who are allowed and who are pliable like you, and I keep asking you, Dr. Hines, were you a recipient of the PNM Scholarship Fund back in the early 2000s? The Joe Newell famous scholarship fund, that lady with that senator name who didn't get no seat in Arima, that PNM woman who went and take $500,000 and couldn't even pass her exam, waste the taxpayer money. She ever pay back that? Forget her name, so irrelevant. No extra measures needed to combat Delta variant. Listen to Dr. Hines. Dr. Hines, right? Dr. Avery Hines says, epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines says existing protocols and measures should be enough to protect the public from infection by any coronavirus variant, noting that, then he went on to say, TT's borders will be reopened. The first layer of protection is the fact that individuals wishing to travel would have to have both, at this point, negative PCR and evidence of the vaccination. So Dr. Hines says that we are all safe and secure, it's all right. Borders opening July 17 because Yankees say we have to open it. Never mind the science, never mind we dead in, never mind nothing. But he comes to say that we are safe because the quarantine process that WHO, PAHO, and Ministry of Health has put in place is safe, but it has been safe. We have had no community spread from repatriated people, which shows that the exemption policy and the suppression of rights by keeping citizens outside of this country and not letting them come home was nonsensical. It was abject nonsense. It was a suppression of rights without any potential to protect. It was unnecessary. For 17 months, people were kept out, and it served no purpose. But now Dr. Hines is telling us, hey, even though we had no community spread, when we had UK variant, we found it, we kept it in quarantine. gone. Through the people repatriation throughout, over 15,000, 20,000 people come back, plus them PNM who does go and come back is our next 15,000. So lots of people going and coming through this quarantine system, no community spread, no infections, no danger. He comes to tell us about that. And talking about the Indian variant, which is now called the Delta variant, which they are saying is more infectious than even the Brazilian variant. He is telling us that we safe like Selassie briefcase. There's one major problem, people. One big problem. The Brazilian variant didn't come through no airport. It didn't come through no system of repatriation. The Brazilian variant came through porous, unprotected borders that the PNM has not protected by the influx of illegal immigrants from Venezuela. That's where the Brazilian variant came. Case number one, case zero, number one was an illegal immigrant who came from Venezuela with the Brazilian variant. From May 11 to present, 90% of our infections and deaths have been because of the Brazilian variant. Dr. Hines speaks nothing about porous borders, nothing about him instructing, advising, or telling the government, listen, I am seeing and sensing that you have done nothing differently in the porous borders. The Brazilian variant came in through the porous borders. The Indian variant and Delta variant, whatever you want to call it, is going to come through the porous borders. You are going to make my job harder if you do not protect the porous borders. Where's the Coast Guard? I see that big mouth Anil Roberts went fishing and all the Coast Guard boats park up, rock up. Where the helicopters? Where the army? Where the boats? Where the radar? What's going on? Why, Dr. Hines? Why are you playing games? Your job is to protect us. The real risk of Delta variant is not through a sustained scientific quarantine period, vaccination, temperature checks, quarantine moves, so PCR tests from people coming in and out through legitimate ports. The real threat to us as we have lived and died is through the porous borders. Yet you don't talk that. So don't worry. When they open the borders, we safe, says Dr. Hines. Isn't that very sad? And all of us sit there, and all of our lives are in the hands of this kind of pliable political shenanigans from someone who's supposed to be a professional. Nobody asks you to be PNM or UNC, you know. Just talk the science, talk the facts, and stop talking nonsense. From day one you talk. First time I ever heard your name was one doctor come out and say, the Mark Bassant report of 400 in extra cases of pneumonia, death, and respiratory death in Trinidad and Tobago. One doctor came out and said, nah, man, that's normal. Nobody else talked. Nobody else checked. No follow-up article from Mark Bassant. That was during Carnival, January to April last year. Our first death was here for Carnival. We weren't testing how many people were tested. That was where I heard Dr. Hines. Dr. Hines said, nah, man, illegal immigrants, no evidence of that in any spread of anything, but where the COVID was coming from. Because all are we on lockdown, shutdown, and broke down, no community spread. COVID needs to jump from human being to human being. Where did COVID come from? Where the first wave done? Where the second wave come from? Where the third wave come? Where the Brazilian come from? And where the Indian Delta variant coming from? So we heard the rules and regulations for when people come in the airport. PCR test, fully vaccinated, you could come. Citizens who are not vaccinated could come, but they have the PCR test. They go into quarantine for 14 days and so on and so forth. Non-citizens who are not vaccinated cannot come. Those who have double vaccination, they can come. That's great. We have a whole list of rules and regulations when you open the legitimate borders. What are the rules and regulations for the porous borders? For the open borders, for the 81 points? What are the rules for that? For the illegal immigrants who come in through? What are their rules? They have to take a PCR test. We checking to see if they're vaccinated when they come in through the bush in the carcass. when they come on a pirogue down through Shagaramas, when they slip in down by any mangrove through there, what we going to do? Tell two scarlet ibis to swab their nose hole? What is the exact protocol to check illegal immigrants coming through the porous borders with Indian Delta variant? But this man says, Delta variant, no big deal, we have it covered, says Dr. Hines. Page 22, Newsday, Section A. Let me read something for you all, if you all want to take on this Dr. Hines. About the Delta variant. It's a version of the coronavirus that has been found in more than 80 countries since it was first detected in India. Well, we must be 81. Experts say the Delta variant spreads more easily because of the mutations that make it better at latching onto cells in our bodies. In the United Kingdom, the variant is now responsible for 90% of all new infections. You heard that? In the US, it represents 20% of infections, and health officials say it could become the country's dominant type as well. The vaccines were protective for those who got both doses, but were less so among those who got one dose. But yet, Doctor of Stones, Dr. Dunce, Dr. Bully, Dr. Rowley, not he, Rowley, but he too, but he can't bully, he just dotish, he just pliable, he just up in Rowley K-Pax. But Dr. Stone said, no man, one dose we good because we have to use that and he get expired vaccine. Everything is just incompetence abounds with this government. So here we have the facts, the science of the Delta variant. Since the Brazilian variant has arrived, once we Trinis reach in the ICU, we dead. We dead in at home. Over 300 deaths in May. On May 11th, the Brazilian variant became 90% of all positive cases in Trinidad and Tobago. That came through porous borders. The Delta variant is more infectious than the Brazilian variant. So if the Brazilian variant came in and caused us death and devastation like that, over 600 deaths in 2 months, the borders remain porous and the same. Coast Guard not floating, not patrolling. Radar, dead people floating in under the radar. Pirate robbing and making fishermen jump overboard and keeping their boat right in the Gulf of Paria. No helicopter, no air guard, no army camps, no police roadblocks. The police riverine unit have 4 boats or so, them doing a little work. I see them help them catch some people and so on. So well done to Gary Griffith and them. But where the Coast Guard? Where the air guard? Where the helicopters? Our borders are porous. You all are talking about the airport. Who care about the airport? Nothing coming through the airport. You have enough systems to handle that scientifically. Testing, PCR, vaccine, temperature, quarantine. That's not our problem. Our problem is the porous borders, and they're still porous. And you all are still talking nonsense and accepting Ethelbert and Smallpin and Rowley talking all this nonsense. And while we are suffering like that with incompetence, look at Barbados. Barbados would soon test for all COVID-19 variants. Bridgetown, Barbados, they said it will this week be in a position to screen positive coronavirus COVID-19 cases for all variants of the virus, as authorities urge people here to get vaccinated in a bid to prevent the spread of the disease. Health and Wellness Minister, retired Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic, said the best Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory should be in a position to screen positive COVID-19 cases for all variants, and that equipment which had been sent overseas to be recalibrated to facilitate the screening had been returned. We still doing random testing for the Brazilian variant and trying to extrapolate the infectious nature of the variant. We can't test all the positives. We are testing only 700 people per day or 2 days, whatever them thing is, and still getting 24 to 30% positive cases. How many Brazilian? Are any of them Delta variant? Is the Delta variant here? Has the Indian variant arrived? It hit Brazil 4 weeks ago. It hit Venezuela 22 days ago. Has it arrived here yet? And I have too much noise, baby. Then we move into a man who is in charge of the nonsense. A man who controls Avery Hines. A man who controls the doctors. A man who could not pass a pharmacological exam. Listen to him now. He's the man who said private tests waste of time. Only CARFA will sanction them, and CARFA, and he will bring PCR tests. Don't go for no private. They wouldn't get no, don't wear no mask. Wearing a mask make no sense. Oh, look at a mask. Rip a jersey, make a mask. This man who said coronavirus, if we get it, we will get it sporadic. 800 and something dead. That's sporadic. You dunce. And he's still talking arrogantly with a fake convent girl accent, you know. Strict procedures to import vaccines. Remember just last month when there was some story about somebody said they had Pfizer somewhere and somebody bring it in. And then the doctor passed them and then said, well, it's illegal to bring it in if you bring. And I come to all I say, but wait now, why is it illegal? Why are we, if the goal is herd immunity, why are we not moving with the private sector and getting our people vaccinated? So if Ansa Makal could vaccinate all of them, on Massey could vaccinate this one, Junior Sammy could vaccinate all these people. Go ahead! That will ease up the dunces in the government. And maybe we would reach herd immunity faster and then we would stop dying. And I couldn't understand what is this illegal thing now. All of a sudden, it's not illegal now. Here comes Dial Singh. He says, there are strict procedures to import vaccines. The company must submit the trade name and the form, name of the manufacturer, the country of origin, the condition of sale, the pandemic use, emergency use. The application must be submitted to the Chemistry, Food and Drugs Division, the importer's agent for the registration of import. The importer also needs to present indemnification agreement which has the manufacturer proof of integrity of the cold chain, name and contact information. All of this, very nice. What about the 400 doses of Pfizer? I didn't need that. The Pfizer that land with a to whom it may concern. It didn't need all of that. How come it need all of that now? This is the problem. Nobody could trust anything. Everything would only have to be a skull. Even life-saving vaccine had to be a skull. This one, he say he's the best Minister of Health ever. Unfortunate SWRHA lapse. The state of the Point Fortin Extended Care Center is a disgrace. This is Newsday. This is PNM Newsday. This is Judy Raymond. Did she love Rowley? Whatever Rowley could give she? Well, he can't get Gishi now. Because it have erectile dysfunction with COVID-19 positive. Rowley, how that going? I find I was looking at a little stress in the parliament. Tobago realized that you ain't functioning good. You ain't standing up strong. And Rowley? That erectile dysfunction thing with this COVID-19 positive. You told the people, you told the population that you were COVID-19 positive, and the Minister of Health told the population when you could take your vaccine. Let him tell us about the erectile dysfunction, how it have impacted you. As you notice, Judy Raymond writing sense now. Like she ain't getting her injection. The state of the Point Fortin Extended Care Center is a disgrace, a regrettable blot on the public healthcare system. The center, which houses psychiatric patients and the socially displaced, fell into such poor condition, and its outpatient clinic was moved to a prefabricated container on the grounds, abandoning a building that had become uninhabitable. It's a situation that would leave most at a loss for words. What's to be said about our health facility with a snake and rodent infestation? Point Fortin MP Kennedy Richards Jr. also offered no answers. Exactly. PNM have no answers. Shame on all you. And Kennedy Richards, you can't say nothing. Because how you go bad talk the Al Singh? He's a big minister. He's a different color, different hue. Last time I checked, you and me same color. Eh? You in the black man government, black bencher. The Al Singh say today in the parliament, me even know how he put God out he thought. to talk about Tobago. My father is a Tobagonian. I'm a half Tobagonian. And I just try to stay out Tobago people business because Tobagos are proud people and them could handle a story. I mean, I was only jumping a little thing, just a little bit, when Rowley and them overdo it and try to bully the people at Tobago to give them a little information. But the Alsing come and say, do not let this bill that come in, that 76% of Tobagonians don't want to hear about it. It's nonsense. It's arrogance. It's what Champa say. Take it or leave it. If you don't take this, a bill in the hand is worth more than none in the bush. Me, I know where you went in the bush. You went in the bush to find bleach. Champa, what you was doing in the bush? Who find you in the bush, Rowley? I don't understand. What do you mean none in the bush? And the Alsing come to say, don't let this bill become the next Sandals. The Alsing, are you a clown? Do you know that the Sandals was the greatest, the management by Keith Christopher Rowley and Small Pin Stuart Young on the Sandals matter was the biggest disrespect to Tobagonians? That Rowley, the central government, took Tobago land, pristine land at no man's land, sneak it into the portfolio of the Minister of Finance, and then went to give his golfing partner that he played golf with when he was leader of the opposition and told him, I might be Prime Minister just now, I want to give you land to build a hotel. He then took his Small Pin, who is his Gary Sobers, took him above Champa Cujo, moved she, the Tobagonian woman, when she dare ask her a question, Pelchi in sport. She said, boy, when your own dog bite you, you're well bitten. And she went in sport and said, well, they put me here because I just jog. Then they put Randall Mitchell, who does lean to the left too. They put he there and Small Pin walk all over he. Rowley and Small Pin went all over Tobago with Adam Butch Stewart, did not even invite the Chief Secretary of Tobago, did not invite the THA, did not involve the THA. Rowley didn't even know he made a committee with Wendell Motley. When Robert Amar asked him questions, he didn't even know that he appointed that because it was a lie. And the real committee was Stuart Small Pin Young negotiating Tobago business, Tobago land, and then taking a loan that the people of Trinidad and Tobago would have had to pay $7 billion to build a hotel for Butch on the pristine island of Tobago without any input from Tobagonians whatsoever. And Convent Girl the Alsing that they're looking for in St. Joseph is trying to tell Tobagonians, don't let this bill turn out like that Sandals that you lost. The Sandals debacle and Butch Stewart pulling out was the greatest gift to the people of Tobago. The THA should have been allowed to advertise and ask for a request for proposal for the land, Tobago autonomy, Tobago decision, Tobago investment. You have people who sit down and dictate to Tobago. You have a man who's a Tobagonian in the Senate, the Vice President of the Senate in a debate, coming to tell we, when Tobagonians can't sort out the business, well, Trinidad will handle it. He had no shame as a Tobagonian boy, the freighters. Shame on you. While we languishing, Barbados moving, Guyana moving, Caribbean moving, St. Lucia moving, bubble with BVI, Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Bahamas, everybody improving and domestic economies going. Honduras set to get 1.5 million vaccines from the US. Honduras getting 1.5 million vaccines from the US. None for Trinidad and Tobago, and all you want to conga line with Maduro, all you want to dance with Abdelcy Rodriguez, you want to meet with, I'm now learning, Astrobal Chavez, you want to link with Maduro, who's a indicted narco trafficker, drug trafficker, and terrorist in the USA. Taiwan get 2.5 million doses, Honduras get 1.5 million doses, 500 million doses going out, and we cannot get, because we elected an idiotic government. More Venezuelans heading home in mid-July. Venezuelans love Venezuela. They came to Trinidad out of pure desperation. They had to try and earn money to take care of their families. Maduro had crumbled the economy. There was no medicine, no food, no toilet paper, no water, no drinking. Electricity was going all the time. No gas to cook, no gas to put in the cars. They were suffering. Men left their wives and children there to come and earn a living. But they bounce up Rowley, Colmimbot, and the cabinet of the PNM. And now Trinidad and Tobago's economy in a short 5.5 years of incompetence is shattered just like Venezuela. And now Venezuelans are returning home. I told you on Saturday that I knew of some who are going and some still come hoping. More Venezuelans to head home in mid-July. TNT and Venezuelan authorities are making final arrangements for shipping hundreds of Venezuelans who want to go home in mid-July. That's what's happening. That's how bad Trinidad and Tobago is. Inicia nueva semana de cuarentena radical in Venezuela. Venezuela enters a week of radical quarantine. What's that? Because we have been in about 44 days of radical quarantine state of emergency. So Rowley's taking his advice from Maduro. Let's find out how is Maduro taking his advice from Rowley. As of yesterday and until Sunday, Venezuela enters into a radical quarantine to give continuity to the scheme created by the Nicolas Maduro 7+7 regime to stop the cases of COVID-19. The information was confirmed by Delcy Rodriguez. She confirmed that after she called Stuart Smallpin or after she called Rowley. Vice Presidente of the regime, during this week of quarantine, only the activation of priority sectors, health, food, and transport will be allowed. So Venezuela now on shutdown, lockdown, and brockdown are taking out my stopwatch because yesterday on the virtual, I tried to tell all you how life would be different if Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC were in government, because sometimes you all need to hear it, how the decisions would have been made differently. I went for about 2 minutes and probably 26 seconds or so, but I missed out plenty. So I'm going to remind you, because right now, no one could have done worse than Keith Rowley in this COVID-19 pandemic, this war that we are losing. We are dying, we are suffering, we are starving, we are needy, we are not greedy, we are hungry. People are crying out, businesses are shuttered. They don't know where they're going to get money, stock, how they're going to kickstart, how they're going to start up. Over 41% of businesses will never open again. But Kamala Persad-Bissessar had a plan. She tried to tell you all, but they call a snap election in a pandemic with people saying we are #1 in the world, and the Guardian, Express, TV6, Newsday, CNC3, all the radio stations telling you all that. And enough of you all made the mistake in the marginals to dip your finger, while 30,000 people of intelligence were left outside of this country and were not allowed to vote. And Keith Rowley feels he's some kind of big superior prime minister on a 22-19, that he squeezed 2 seats in Tobago that we ain't so sure, with an EBC that is not independent, an EBC that has the niece of a former sitting cabinet minister of the PNM in it, and the best friend of a current sitting minister of bundles, and you all find that's okay. But I told you all, so Archie, remind them of the 2 minutes how COVID-19 would have been fought by Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC with brain, with creativity, and life would not have sucked as it sucks now. Run it.
I know, Madam President here, so I'm going to take an extra 2 minutes here today because I want you all to understand that Kamala Persad-Bissessar, if she was Prime Minister, and our good coaches always walk with the stopwatch. I see Fennick with one of these. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, if she was Prime Minister, the COVID-19 pandemic fight would have been different. Life in Trinidad and Tobago would have been different. Ready? Let me tell you why. Go! Because Kamala Persad-Bissessar had real doctors in her cabinet and MPs. She would have had the advice. She would have had the full debate and created a program. She'd have ensured that there was enough testing across the board so that we could have been testing all during Carnival and make sure there was contact tracing to either have a safe Carnival or cancel it based on the data. She would have ensured that the borders would have remained open for citizens to be repatriated under PAHO and World Health Organizations, while the borders, official borders, would have been closed to internationals, so that we would have kept our islands pristine. She would have ensured that the porous borders were locked, The Coast Guard would have had diesel. The helicopters, Air Guard would have been flying. The Army would have been from Fullerton to Icacos with jeeps and full floodlights. The police would have been out in roadblocks to lock down the place. Officials in Carnage and Chaguaramas, they would have stopped the Venezuelan fishermen from coming in with unchecked. There would have been health officials out there, customs and excise. The borders would have been sealed with a security dome. Then she would have ensured that the economy would have been moving. She would not have shut down beaches and rivers and outdoor activities. She would have ensured agriculture continues and that local products would have been sold. She would have ensured that we in Trinidad and Tobago would have kept the economy going so that jobs would have been able to continue. The money that she would have been given at grants would not have been $1,500. It would have been more realistic, up at $3,000. She would have created a system of public servants in warehouses to keep printing checks so that everybody, 200,000 people, because more people would have applied, because the forms would not have been so arduous. She would have printed out those checks and made sure that they were printed within 3 to 4 weeks. Everybody would have had their money. There would have been better management of the hospitals. The real doctors would have been in charge. She would not have put a convent girl in charge of the Ministry of Health. How much time? With the ministry, where the clock? She would have put real doctors and real specialists in the parallel health system. She would have purchased more ventilators, ensure there was more oxygen, ensure that the borders would not allow illegal immigrants in to bring Brazilian variant. The small and micro businesses would have received their grants. NEDCO would have increased their loan facilities. She would not have taken out $23 billion in the heritage and stabilization and only used $425 million for the people. There would have been more accountability across the board. Sports and healthy lifestyle activities would have continued and been managed. We would not have been on lockdown, shutdown, and brought down with a state of emergency. The airports would have been monitored. There would have been antibody antigen testing. And Trinidad and Tobago would have been a bubble. Tobago would have kept separate and would have been in the bubble with Barbados so that we could have had tourism continuing. That, I think, is 2 minutes, but that is what Kamala would have done and lots more. There would have been more school feeding, more hampers, more money spent, more belief, more heart, more soul, more love. And she would not have told you that you're greedy. Good night.
Some. So let's go. That was about 3 minutes. Ready? Archie? Ready? Go. Kamala would have ensured that we reach herd immunity by April 2020. She would have begged for vaccine. She would have gone to meet Modi, call him, Zoom with Modi, get 400,000 from Modi. She would have ensured that she had meetings and send people and private sector to get Pfizer, to get AstraZeneca, to get Moderna, to get Johnson & Johnson. She would not have played games with Ansa Macal, 351,000 doses. She would have ensured we had vaccines. She would have ensured that when she delivering the vaccines, she would have vaccine taxi. She would have had people going to the homes of the elderly to give them vaccine without them coming outside. She would have had open drive-through vaccines like what happened at the army down there. Vaccination would have reached 70% by April. The economy would have been opened back up. Furthermore, she would have ensured that Trinidad and Tobago would not have shut down the schools, that our children would have already had laptops and tablets and Wi-Fi, and school would not have been eliminated for 48,690 children. There would have been exams, would have been held. The children would have been given Pfizer vaccine so that they could go back to school quickly, because online classes has its limitations. The children would have been first. She would have ensured that they got their 48,000 meals, not drop it down to 20,000. She would have ensured that foreclosures would have been stopped by the parliament. She would have gone to Parliament and passed a law preventing banks from foreclosing on people, on their houses, their cars, their equipment, and so on, their businesses. She would have passed a law putting a moratorium on that legally so that banks could not do that. People would have been saved. They would have deferred interest payments. There would have been laws made to protect people. The banks and the private sector would have been told and instructed by law not to handle the situation. She would have prevented she would have said no VAT for companies trying to keep their employees on payroll. She would have given tax breaks for those who paid their employees a percentage of their salary even though business was not running. She would have given tax breaks across. She would have done She would have kept the beaches, rivers, and so on open and kept with social separation. People understand that COVID-19 does not live in salt water. With monitoring, with police, with army, and so on, keeping it safe, ensuring with education across the board on the spread. She would have not had press conferences every day to magai and play politics. She would have done a lot of road if the country had to go into a lockdown position depending on what the situation was. If there was a lockdown position, she would have taken the opportunity to keep construction going, to make sure that all the roads would have been paved, to ensure that the riverine unit would have been operationalized in March 2020, not April 2021, to protect the borders along with the Coast Guard. She would have accessed the IMF funding that does not have prescriptions, the emergency IMF funding for the people, and ensure that hampers, food, medicine, and all the amenities would have been given to the people. She would have ensured that the ministers of the cabinet took a 40% pay cut, that the public service hierarchy, the permanent and secretaries, and so on, the higher level AO5s and so on, took a 25% pay cut. The CEOs of state enterprises, Carl and all these who get in 46,000 US per month would have had to take 40 to 50% pay cuts in order to keep business going. She would have dredge the river mouths so that when the rains came, they would not be flooded. She would have had in the technology when the economy and the repatriation and the airports were open. She would have had contact tracing technology bracelets that check your, just like Barbados, that check your temperature, link to your GPS phone, keep your quarantine venues. Kamala would have had more quarantine venues, not just selected friends and family. There would have been hotels open and the government would have paid. Citizens would not have had to pay for their own quarantine. Kamala would have requests from the USA to help us seal the borders. Why hasn't the government done that? Ask the USA to seal the borders. The USA is helping Guyana against Maduro, but when you're friendly with Maduro, you can't ask the US for naval and Coast Guard help. Kamala Persad-Bissessar would not have been friendly with Maduro. She would have called upon the USA to put naval vessels in that Gulf of Paria, put their radar, put their Coast Guard, and protect Trinidad and Tobago. What else? As CARICOM chair, Kamala would have united the Caribbean. She would have led, and Holness, Mia Motley, Gaston Johnson, all of them would have fought for vaccines, for policies, for funding together as a unit, and would not have been one man going so and ignoring Rowley. Kamala would not have been ignored because she would have moved with a unity platform, and she would not have called an early election in a pandemic to be a super spreader. Kamala would not have invited all of our people and citizens to go to Tobago to spread Brazilian variant and kill Tobagonians. That's how life would have been different if Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC was in government, governing with heart, soul, brain, intelligence, creativity, with people in different portfolios who know what they're doing, rather than a convent girl and a Shakespearean actor who should be painting a backdrop, and a Rowley, a dumb Doctor of Stones with arrogance who puts his PNM minions to keep us dying. We would not be dying. We would have specialist doctors handling it. We would have food, money, economy going, and Trinidad and Tobago would not be suffering for the next 15 to 20 years. Put up something. Let me leave you with some hope, because I know all you're depressed after hearing that. All you really want to go back and take out Rowley. All you don't want to vote. When all you see that Balize next time, all your fingers will start to shake, and it will go by the sun. It will go and get burned in the rising sun, because you did it. Unfortunately, you took basket from the mass media and you vote wrong. All right. But boy, we suffering. Actually, put up that. Let me read something of hope before I go now. Fair Khalil Gibran. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter, there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. So yes, we are in a terrible position. We could not be in a worse position. We know we're near herd immunity, we're dying, the Brazilian variant is ravaging us, our economy is shattered, people are hungry. But do not despair. There are people who will lead and will care and will bring about change. Yes, we will lose many of our intellectuals because, unfortunately, the policies that have existed for 6 years has suffered us all and encouraged people to leave, to go to greener pastures. But there is always hope, and hope comes with brain, intelligence, heart, soul, leadership. The UNC is here. Forget the media, forget the games, forget the racist politics. Let's just think about policy, intelligence, decisions that impact your lives together, because we are all Trinbagonians. That's what douglAR politics is about. Forget the race. There is no race in a douglAR. Everybody loves everybody, and that's how we are and who we are. And for those who have divided, like Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM, aided and abetted by the mass media, there will be a time for them to be dealt with. But we have the solutions. We will not despair. The problems are hard, but not insurmountable, once you have the desire to solve them. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar gave you the option. She is still there to give you the option. Her team of willing, capable service members, politicians, public servants are willing, ready, and able to put their heads down and do the work that is necessary to bring Trinidad and Tobago out of the depths of despair that Rowley has plunged us. Good night. God bless. Be safe.
Welcome to Facts, Not Fiction. Join me this Thursday the 1st at 7:30 p.m. sharp. Yes, 7:30 p.m. sharp. As we discuss, my friend help my friend, and my friend win my friend, and my friend share with my friend. This Thursday, 7:30 p.m. sharp. As we discuss facts, not fiction. I'm out.
The balize. Everybody just do the balize. Right foot, balize. Left foot, Balize. Everybody just do.
This one is that. This is the Deputy Crowley and the youthful and impeccable Scotland. We call it. I celebrated the PNM celebration now. So I just give my love it. You got me my love, you boy. If you're that girl, well, you might have been my wife. And Rowley, you doing it. I'm talking to Rowley, you go Rowley. Yeah. I love what you like. Home down boy. And today I come out to celebrate the flying of PNM candidates and of PNM people. What do you come like this? Study by what? What keep? What does it? Oh, it's been the out of the mind. But now who do you want to celebrate? Ready to PNM. Ready to PNM.
Of course it's appropriate. I mean, if you have a friend and you hear that, you know, something like that happened to me, you wouldn't ask him, you know, what's this about? I mean, I couldn't wait to call him to find out what all this is about. I mean, and he said he doesn't know, right? Because he's not aware of it, right? So, I mean, if I have a friend and I'm accused in that way and the friend doesn't reach out to me to find out what's going on, I will kind of look at you kind of funny. The virus does not pick a person. All the virus wants is a human being. And if we vaccinate certain people and don't vaccinate the other people, the unvaccinated remain a threat to the vaccinated.
You get a vaccine, you don't have to worry about unvaccinated people because you have the vaccine. I am vaccinated. You may not be vaccinated, but you don't pose a risk to me because I am vaccinated. So if you are vaccinated, what are you worrying about?
Anyone saw the level of crowds out there in preparation for Trinidad's weekend under house arrest? The Supermarket Association said they put steps in place to be ready for these crowds, which means that they were predictable. We knew these crowds were coming. So whoever made this decision knowingly created a situation to create crowds where we know coronavirus spreads, and then lock all these people in these crowds indoors for a weekend. Indoors where we know the majority of spread occurs, in their households where we now know 50% of people in a household with an infected person also gets infected. Seeing that the government is now mandating and decreeing what people do and where they go in order to stop the spread, and there hasn't been one outbreak linked to a beach since the beginning of this pandemic, it might have made more sense for us to have a decree this weekend that no one stays at home. We must all go to the beaches. It might have had less spread occurring because of it, and it certainly would have had less stress. Imagine spending weeks convincing people vaccinate to operate. The vaccines are here to stop the spread, and then stopping vaccination to lock people indoors.
Two things. I wear size 11 shoes. What's the importance of that, you may ask? I have a habit of putting my foot in my mouth. And
let us treat with this thing. The chances of Trinidad and Tobago having an explosion of cases of coronavirus are remote to possibly non-existent. If we do get it, it is going to be individual cases if we get it.
this is worse than World War I, World War II, and 9/11 put together. And then each copy goes into another cell in your body, switches on the photocopy machine, and switch on and just prints copies. Wearing a mask by the average Trinidadian and Tobagonian is of absolutely no use. As you can see, we are leading by example from this morning in wearing masks. You could take an old t-shirt, you can make a mask. You could do like me, take an old t-shirt, rip it, and you have a face mask. There is no specific treatment, there is no cure, there is no vaccine for COVID-19. One of the drugs that we have to use, and you will know, is a drug called human globulin immune. You know, each patient that we have to put on that costs between $100,000 to $200,000 per patient. The best place for them to be, if you don't have the disease, is in China. The best place for them to be is in China. The best place for them to be is in China. It is now for you, members of the public, like the government, to make your own sensible decisions as you go forward. First sensible decision, ignore social media. Social media is causing more damage than coronavirus at this point in time. We have a series of other measures that we have put out. Full page ads that give you information. We have social media. We have our website. Please go to these alternate modes of communication before going to the COVID-19 hotline.
I think the ayes have it.
Speaker, before the Prime Minister, with your leave, the motion has prevailed. But at no point in time there was an agreement as it relates to this particular process. When the motion was moved, Madam Speaker, there was an agreement on both sides.
Could you have a seat? Could you have member for Cuba South? During this debate, this is the second.
No agreement as it relates to wind up, Madam Speaker.
Member for Cuba South, I would ask you to get up and apologize. If you don't want to apologize, you can exercise another option so that I wouldn't have to do what I have to do.
Apologize for what, Madam Speaker? There was no agreement as it relates to this. There was no agreement as it relates to extension, and the leader of government business is very aware of this.
Member for Cuba South, I have asked you to apologize for your outbursts. This is the second time during this debate that I'm on my legs. You have me in view and you continue. So either you apologize or you exercise your option so that I won't have to do it.
Madam Speaker, can I make an intervention?
I don't recognize you. I do not recognize you. And I don't want anybody assisting me.
Speaker, I apologize, but I am...
That's it. That's it. I'm prepared to take your apology. If you want to go on, as again I said, you have an option.